growing revolution in digital and social media, contemporary marketers and entrepreneurs need help. One form of help resides in the effective integration of analytics with strategic marketing thought. Hello everyone, I'm Gary Hunter. At its core, marketing is about exchange. If you've ever exchanged anything of any value, you know what marketing is about, at least at a fundamental level. As such, we may underestimate the complexity of marketing. Yet, not so fast, my friend, as Coach Lee Corso would say on this scene of ESPN today. For small businesses and large corporations alike, marketing is a complex and sophisticated function. But without an exchange, there is no business. To the firm, marketing matters. To quote one of the foremost management scholars of all time, Peter Drucker, because its purpose is to create a customer, the business enterprise has two, and only these two basic functions: marketing and innovation. Marketing and innovation produce results. All the rest are cost. Marketing matters today, of course, as much as it did when Drucker wrote that statement in the mid-1970s, if not more so. Today, big data and the quest for customer insights are prominent characteristics of global competition. Marketing also matters to you. Successful entrepreneurs discover marketing very early, as marketing represents as much as 80% of a typical business plan. And even if your goals are more consistent with climbing the corporate ladder, as a recent Spencer Stuart study showed, marketing and sales are among the most important of all business functions and most prominent for chief executive officers. The maturing revolution in digital marketing, emerging concerns with big data, as well as countless other factors, underlie change in marketing practices in the years ahead. Unknown forces will reshape the marketing landscape in the years that will come, yet a framework around which to grow and evolve your thoughts on marketing and on how to integrate analytics is an imperative for any meaningful graduate business school degree. And make no mistake about it, the markets themselves are the ultimate arbiters of who designs and implements a successful strategy. Good luck with your quest to master marketing strategy and analytics. With all this talk about the importance of marketing, the function still becomes a war of words in need of definition and precision to present any science to enter. So what is marketing? Well, marketing is about exchange, as noted earlier, but it's more than exchange. Consider the American Marketing Association's definition of marketing. AMA states, marketing is an organizational function and a set of processes for creating, communicating, and delivering value to customers and for managing customer relationships in ways that benefit an organization and its stakeholders. There are several ideas in that definition that are of note, but one is the idea of value. Value is a vital concept for understanding marketing. Additionally, marketers seek to build relationships with customers, not to simply convince them to buy something that they want value after the purchase. So, marketing is more than just communicating or promoting, and that's often what it's reduced to. And when that happens, it becomes impossible to leverage the value of marketing. So if you want to sort of harness and leverage the importance and value of marketing, you want to think about marketing more broadly than to think of it as simply promotions. At the same time, introductory marketing classes often say that marketing is more than sales and advertising. Yet a marketing strategist would be foolhardy to ignore the power in the promotion mix of the sales function or the advertising function. And moreover, many of today's best sales forces play a vital role in creating value for their customers. So, understanding marketing as something far more than promotion, but also including promotion, is critical to harnessing its power to become. Over the years, I probably got a bit carried away with the exhaustive part of my goal, losing sight of the idea that to be compact in the presentation of the foundation was equally as important. Professor Hunter, It's nice that you've done all this work for us to help us understand marketing, but can you just tell us what we really need to know and do that with fewer slides? My task was straightforward. Provide a graduate level foundation in marketing strategy, albeit the coverage of a complex and vital function in a concise fashion. My journey to these Fab 50 slides also included reflecting upon my transition from a formal education in engineering and life sciences as an undergraduate to one in marketing as an MBA and PhD student. I recall that marketing was a field of many perspectives and have noted that other engineers I've taught as graduate business students often benefited from essentially having or expanding their tolerance for ambiguity. For all concerns, it seems that understanding how marketing is practiced, a unifying framework is a superior alternative to a smorgasbord of topics about marketing. So, in addition to the definition of marketing, what else does, quote, every general manager need to know about marketing? If you look in the upper right-hand corner of this slide, you'll notice that there's one of the Fab 50 tags there that indicate this is Fab number 2. Okay, so we've already covered one of the Fab 50 slides, and that was in defining marketing. Here, it's important to try to get the gist of each of these Fab 50 slides. The gist here is that it's important to consider the difference between wants and needs. Now, a modern philosopher, Aaron Hanson's work called Need to Want Less provides great artistic examples of the human experience with self-discipline. Simply put, we often want too many things and need to want less. Pause the presentation and take a moment to think about something you want. Think back and reflect on that decision about what makes up the difference between the object being something you wanted but not something you need. In many cases, you may discover what the psychological sciences and the great philosopher Descartes highlighted in his work, Passions for the Soul, in 1649. That is, passions, our internal dispositions towards objects, may conflict with our rationality, considered evaluations of those objects. This is an age-old debate between reason and emotion, and it fundamentally is what marketing focuses upon. Marketing seeks to influence wants, to overcome rational objections to that influence, and ultimately to shape or reshape those internal dispositions more positively in favor of their brands. Thus, marketers want brands to evoke positive imagery and associations with the customers who exchange products with them. In essence, marketing starts by understanding your needs, your reasoning, but works by influencing your wants. This slide is bold, and it seeks basically to describe the process of the gist of marketing. In my mind, the gist of marketing starts with some underlying human need. Those needs can be either predominantly physiological, or which is exemplified by thirst or hunger, or psychological, as would be exemplified by say, for example, one's need for safety, security, or belonging. So, generally, the purpose of marketing can be considered as the quest to identify, serve, and satisfy needs and wants profitably. That notion is so fundamental to marketing scholarship that it's known as the marketing concept. So, needs which are unmet can be considered as gaps. Those gaps are basically between an individual's actual state and her desired state. The gap creates a state of discomfort, and it is this discomfort that marketers seek to relieve. So, as people who relieve states of discomfort, marketing is really about making people happy. So, in essence, this is done by tailoring offering to relieve these identified states of comforts. Over time, however, customer expectations satiate as we, contrary to our guidance, need to want less but fall prey to human nature and consequently want more. So the gaps between actual and desired states are dynamic and they shift as marketers have to redesign and adapt strategies to maintain appeal to their chosen target markets. So from another vantage point, this process can be considered from a systems theory perspective. It is a simple system of inputs, transformation, and outputs. It also builds on basic economics theory in that a demand is defined as a willingness or a want coupled with an ability to pay. Thus, to create demand for products or services or goods or entertainment, marketers have, and of course to serve that profitably, marketers have to seek customers who will want their offerings and can pay enough to make it a profitable exchange for the marketing organization. Okay, so it's worth noting that long-lasting relationships are built upon exchanges in which both buyers and sellers realize value. If a buyer doesn't realize value, then the buyer will not repeat exchanges with the seller in the future. Thus, the sale becomes more transactional as opposed to relational. Thus, the goal of relational marketing is not to rip off a customer on a one-time exchange. Such exchanges, again, are referred to as transactional selling. And most of this course will focus, and most of the perspectives of marketers focus on how do we build relationships over time. And we'll talk later about the concept of customer lifetime value and how you can establish relationships with customers built on those expectations that you're going to satisfy them with the products they purchase. What should be obvious to all, even the think big segment out there, in considering markets, is the reality that marketers cannot serve and satisfy the needs of all prospective markets. Thus, marketers face the task of creating or crafting value propositions that represent implicit promises by the marketer to deliver benefits that exceed cost from the perspective of those comprising the target markets. To refine a value proposition, marketers should consider their offering from the customer's perspective. In particular, it's helpful to identify which benefits are most important. These could be considered along a vertical axis. In considering each of these benefits, it's also helpful to think about how one compares with potential competitors. One's competitive advantage, which simply refers to a superior ability relative to competitors in offering that benefit to the market, can be considered along a horizontal axis. This juxtaposition establishes a 2x2 matrix in which points of difference that one should emphasize emerge. This conceptual framework is also helpful in identifying irrelevant weaknesses and strengths, and importantly, with anticipating buyer objections. While there are applications to all of this material, a typical application for preparing for buyers' objections resides in professional selling. Responses to such buyers' objections become an important element in a marketer's preparation for a two-way exchange with the target market. For salespeople, this may occur with business buying accounts of critical importance to the marketing firm, a domain often referred to as strategic account management. Of course, two-way communications is the fundamental value offered through a marketer's strategy to use professional selling as a component in the marketing mix. As we move from this more micro perspective and towards a unifying framework, three major components associated with designing marketing strategy emerge. To understand markets, heuristics can help as they simplify the complexity of reality to help us comprehend and frame some of the most salient and meaningful characteristics. We use heuristics every day, often without considering them as such. And business schools and consulting are famous for applying such frameworks to solve countless problems. The earlier slide on value propositions, which resulted in a 2x2 matrix, is an example. The main slide that encapsulates the unifying framework that we'll talk about a little bit later is also a very complex heuristic, but both are good examples of heuristics and how they can be used. For more quantitative-minded students, stochastic models, such as those commonly used in marketing analytics and other studies of applied social sciences, cannot capture all the variants that exist needed to explain reality. So that is, a model is essentially a simplification of reality. Similarly, conceptual frameworks simply take this logic that I'm using on multiple regression or those types of models and extends it one step further, and are particularly useful when we know even less about the particular context or model we're trying to build. So heuristics, the best heuristics, identify the most important aspects one should consider and are easy to recall and implement. So possibly the best known and most widely used heuristic in marketing is the 4Ps framework. Here I'm employing two other heuristics, the 5 Cs and STD and P, to simplify this framework, which will be used later as a building block for the overarching framework on marketing strategy and analytics. So first, identifying needs occurs through a market opportunity analysis. So a market opportunity analysis centers on determining whether or not anyone or how many people potentially value different marketing mix elements associated with a prospective offering. The 5 Cs represents components of a marketing opportunity analysis. They are customers, competitors, company, collaborators, and context. We'll go into more detail in each one of these factors later. And the whole idea of the coverage of the course is to get more depth into each one of these areas. So STD and P are processes that essentially seek to link an identified opportunity in the market from the market opportunity analysis to the marketing strategy, which we'll talk about next. The value proposition, then, accompanying the strategy, represents the marketing communication of value to the consumer. The value proposition should be pithy and should highlight precisely what a consumer should consider in the offering. It should emphasize the reason and emotion that makes the product fit with the consumer's need. For years, as an example, which many of you may be familiar, I've used the 30-second pitch or the elevator pitch as an exercise to help people learn how to craft and refine value propositions. Finally, the marketing strategy itself, which we'll define as consisting of two parts, a marketing mix and a target market. So a target market can be as small as one person, one business, one government, or as large as a major retailing customer like Walmart, who spends billions of dollars with some of the consumer packaged goods firms. These components and concepts have served to introduce an overarching framework for marketing strategy and analytics that is depicted in this slide. As this slide is one of the most popular slides that I use throughout teaching the MBA core course in marketing, many past students have referred to this slide as, quote, the slide. This slide we'll talk about in many ways because it essentially provides a two-dimensional perspective of which you'll get more depth as the semester or as the course and content moves along. As an overview of the framework, the left-hand side represents the market opportunity analysis that we just talked about, and the right-hand side represents the two components of a marketing strategy, namely a target market and a marketing mix. The marketing mix is defined by the 4 Ps: product, price, promotion, and place. STD and P link the identified market opportunity to the marketing strategy. So the slide is useful in considering marketing strategy from an interactive, dynamic, interdependent perspective. One need not start on the left and move to the right. One need not start with product and move to price or promotion or place. Essentially, just dive in. Use the framework to start whatever fits best with the situation or the marketing problem you're trying to solve. In the end, however, the idea is to consider all 14 elements of the framework in designing and implementing marketing strategies. So while the slide at this stage represents a two-dimensional overview of marketing strategy, the idea is to add depth to each of these components so that you see a third dimension through your studies through your experiences. Different levers of these 14 become more important in different situations, and over time you'll develop your own views on what elements are most relevant to your work as a marketer or the situation or problem you're working to solve. So while we'll cover more details and depth on, quote, the slide, the objectives to drive the same outcomes that businesses seek, namely those objectives are profit optimization and shareholder value. Thus, you can think of this perspective on marketing, strategy, and analytics as a means for achieving these common business objectives. The framework speaks to the question of how do businesses achieve these objectives and recognizes that such achievements are met through the acquisition and retention of customers. Marketing is indeed the customer-oriented function of the organization. Albeit brief, my hope is that this introduction to marketing strategy provides a starting point from which we can dive into more details. Feedback is always invited and welcome, so this slide provides relevant information on social media contacts and includes my personal website at hunterstrategicmarketing.com. Please check back for more videos and insights on marketing strategy and analytics. All the best with your efforts to master marketing and sales. I'm Gary Hunter, and I hope you have a great day.